The Jordan House in West Des Moines was a stop on the Underground Railroad, and James C. Jordan was the chief conductor in Polk County.
While we do know a lot about Mr. Jordan and the other men who were part of the Underground Railroad in Iowa, what about the role women played? Today I would like to introduce you to 4 amazing women who played a significant part in this fight for freedom.
Charlotta and her 12 children were owned by Hugh and Sarah Gordon of Bardstown, Kentucky. When Hugh died in 1834, he left Charlotta and her children to his only daughter, Frances, with the expectation that she would give them their freedom. Charlotta's husband, Harry, was a freedman, but in that time, children took their legal status from the mother, so since Charlotta was a slave, so were her children. So while Frances was prepared to free the family, her brothers were not happy about this. They kidnapped one of Charlotta's sons, Benjamin, and he was sold to a farmer in Missouri. Frances and the family tried to leave Kentucky, which resulted in the brothers suing Frances twice, claiming she was unable to manage her own affairs, and the sheriff arrested the Piles and threw them in jail. But Frances was able to get the family free, and they all reached Keokuk, Iowa, early winter of 1853. Times were very tough, and Charlotta came up with a plan. She would buy her 2 sons-in-law who were still enslaved, and they could work and support the family. Charlotta learned that she could purchase their freedom for $1,500 each, an enormous amount of money at the time. In fact, that's equivalent to nearly $40,000 today. Charlotta's kidnapped son Benjamin had somehow heard of his mother's plan and wrote to her asking that she purchase his freedom instead of one of the brothers-in-law. Faced with a terrible choice, Charlotta wrote back to him, turning him down. She needed the 2 sons-in-law out of slavery to help support the family. Benjamin was still single, and she thought he might have a better chance to run away successfully. Charlotta soon lost touch with Benjamin, and the family never heard from him again.
Meanwhile, Charlotta embarked on a speaking tour on the East Coast to raise the necessary $3,000. She befriended Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass, who came to Keokuk to give a speech a few years later. In 6 months, she had raised the money, freed her sons-in-law, and her home became an important stop on the Underground Railroad.
Juliette Worth was born in DeRuyter, New York. Juliette was one of the first female physicians in the United States, graduating from the Hygio Therapeutic College in New York City. She then moved to Wisconsin to open her medical practice. In 1855, she moved to Clinton County and offered medical help to women and African Americans who either couldn't afford care or were refused treatment from other doctors. While in Clinton County, Juliette worked as a facilitator of the Underground Railroad, coordinating freedom seeker transports for 5 years. Juliette was also a suffragist and campaigned against the death penalty and for temperance. Like many abolitionists, Cynthia Jordan was inspired and strengthened by her Methodist religion. She was born in New York State and moved to Iowa to be a school teacher. She married James Jordan, a fellow Methodist and abolitionist. Cynthia was a strong partner in James's work as chief conductor, welcoming radical abolitionist John Brown to their home at least twice while he was fleeing towards Canada with groups of recently liberated slaves. The last documented visit was February 1859, just 7 months before the failed raid on Harper's Ferry, Virginia. Elvira Gaston Platt was born in Ohio and moved to Iowa in 1847 after teaching at a Pawnee school in Nebraska. Along with other teachers, Elvira and her husband set up a school in Civil Bend in southwest Iowa, which was open to all children regardless of their race.
Although civil band and this part of the state was generally sympathetic to abolitionists, there were many clashes due to backlash with Elvira's school. The local newspaper reported multiple clashes between pro-slavery forces and Elvira, and on one occasion, she was forced to drive pro-slavery forces off of her front lawn by swinging her frying pan. Elvira's farm became an important stop on the Underground Railroad. So that's the story of 4 Iowa women in the Underground Railroad. We know many more women were involved, but we have no record of them. Very often, if a woman was part of the public record, such as a newspaper article, a letter, or an obituary, their full names were not printed. If she was married, oftentimes she would be referred to just by her husband's name. Here are a few questions for you to think about.